all right. The weather was a little tricky. We didn't see that coming, but a little damp. It was nice. We got a good work in, and really like where we are as a team. I mean, we're getting better, and we're in good spirits, and I like where we are. We're just playing a much better Rice team than we're used to. This is, in my opinion, Coach Bloom's best team he's had. Quarterback makes them go. Receivers are really good. Line's good. Got good backs. Deep on defense. Well coached. Special teams do a really good job, and you can see why they've made such significant improvements this year. They're a better football team, and we're going to have our hands full Saturday.
Does the scouting report change much if their quarterback's unable to go?
He'll be playing. He'll be out there playing. Don't fall for that stuff. Doubtful. Come on, man. Read through the tea leaves. It's intellectual brutality, but I'm not East Texas dummy over here.
Jeff, is there a reason in the last two matchups, Anselm, that you guys have kind of had their number and been able to have so much success?
We were just as surprised, I'm sure, as they are. I mean, going to the game, we didn't see any of that coming. It's just the way the game kind of turned out both times, but and this team's way better, and we're still trying to, we're finding ourselves. I wouldn't say we're playing at the level that we were with those two teams either. So we're still getting to that point.
I'm curious with Trey Moore, how have you seen teams through the year change their approach to trying to block him as he's kind of established himself as such a huge threat in the pass rush?
We've seen everything. I mean, from chipping him to doubling him to sliding to him to you name it, staying away from him. So he's seen the whole gauntlet.
Has it changed since the start of the year, or teams come into the season knowing he was that level?
They already knew. I mean, I got to watch last year and see how dynamic he is.
Coach, I know in the midst of this 5-game streak on Monday, you kind of said, these guys starting to maybe smell themselves a little bit or anything, but during the course of this week, is there any constant reminders from you of just, kind of that mindset and not letting it creep in, or is it kind of a one-time thing and they, kind of get the message?
They're a very mature team. I mean, we got a leadership council. We got single-digit guys that I meet with, privately. And we start that on Sunday night. And, so I wouldn't say it's a constant reminder because we're pretty much a player-led team. But when you're honest with people and you just show them and you listen to them and they talk, you figure stuff out. And those kids, it's human nature. I say it all the time. Desperate people live differently than prosperous people do. And for what we went through in the month of September, we need to be reminded of, that pain, how we felt. And it's just human nature. And we haven't had to say much this week at all. Practices have been two very crisp, sharp practices.
You guys are back in the Alamo Dome this week, 2 more home games. What do you kind of hope from the crowds in these last 2 games?
Well, I just heard Wemby's playing Friday at home at 6, so I need them to go cheer for Wemby for about 3 quarters and then make their way to the Alamo Dome and help us out. You don't get to see Frank Harris and Rashad 2 more times at home. We're going to all watch Wemby for the next 20 years together. So,
Jeff, you mentioned that Tyke had a rough game over the weekend for the first time really this year. How's he sort of bounced back for these last few practices? What have you noticed with him?
Tyke practice hard. But, that'll get his attention a little bit. He had never had that before. He'll be back. He's a good football player.
Jeff, you mentioned missed assignments with the O-line from this past game. What do you guys do to try to clean that up this week?
It's a good question. We just got a little tired, I think. It wasn't like it was that complicated. It was a pretty, I don't want to say generic front, but we've seen East Carolina's way more exotic. Yeah. And it's a good question what that was. We're trying to identify it. And I imagine T. Haynes being out of the lineup and coming back in the lineup probably had a little bit to do with it. I imagine conditioning had something to do with it. I imagine lack of focus. So all those things are being addressed. I'm sure we're one of the few schools in the country that have 2 O-line coaches. There's a reason you have 2, because you got, there's 5 of those guys up there together. They've all got to play as one. And if one of the 5 doesn't communicate correctly, it can make the team look really bad quickly.
Jeff, how far along are you guys in deciding which of the current seniors are going to take that COVID year and come back next season? Are those conversations happening?
They're starting to, just because we got to do senior night, next week. So obviously they have the option to do both. They can do it. My Frank thought he was gone last year. He did it and he came back. So it's not like you can't do it if you do it twice. So I wouldn't read into anything if they all decide to go out there. Better safe than sorry. So if they want to do it, I'm not going to dare try to talk them out of it. I'm just going to ask them and let them know if we want them back too. I mean, we might be tired of them. Jeez. No, we want all those guys back. They're good kids. They've done well for us.
Jeff, the Tulane game was picked for the 2:30 prime spot on Black Friday. What's your, I guess, reaction to having that sort of showcase on ABC?
Nobody's going to want to watch it if we don't beat Rice. So that's really where my focus is. But yeah, I'd love to answer that question in 2 weeks. But we got to beat Rice right now, JJ.
Coach, I know on Monday you said in the North Texas game you had 4 guys with at least 10 carries. I know it's probably kind of an obvious question, but having that capability, 4 guys who can carry the rock and wear opposing defenses down in this time of the year, what kind of asset is that for your football team?
Well, it's just good for locker room. It's good for morale, but it's also good for health. You know, it's just we don't have anybody that's just got too many carries right now. They're all nicked up. Whenever you get tackled, you're going to be banged up some. But we don't have anybody that's what was so amazing about Sincere all those years is the kid very rarely took a shot. He had some amazing ability to just avoid those shots. And you don't coach many of those guys in your lifetime. So we've tried to spread out those hits amongst our people. So morale and health would be the 2 biggest assets. And yeah, we're very grateful.
Jeff, what's Cyrus Simon's status going forward? Is he day-to-day or is that a long-term thing?
No, I would expect him to be back in the lineup this week. I would.
Thanks,
Thank you.